Ladies and gentlemen, it's been quite a few days since MWIII Zombies released, so I thought this would be a good time to just go through and talk about everything I think Treyarch needs to add to this mode within the future DLC updates to just make the mode a lot better and more fun. I am actually enjoying the mode quite a bit right now. I don't think it's perfect. I think there's definitely a lot of moments where I absolutely despise certain things, and overall, of course, my thoughts about, the lack of round-based content is still something that's on my mind, but I am enjoying it, I am having fun with it, and I hope a lot of you guys are as well. And keep in mind, all my ideas here are just ideas. I'm not too concerned with whether or not Treyarch is going to have enough time to develop these things. They're just ideas, so if they don't have time for it, they don't have time for it. It's as simple as that, but that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to give my ideas, and I want to hear what you guys think about these in the comment section down below. Starting off with the most important thing, and I think if they don't add this, the mode is going to die off very fast for a lot of people, and this is simply just a way to play solo, or just, a separate private match with just your friends and no one else involved, and also for you to be able to play for unlimited time. Now, I think the best way to implement this, and this is my idea here, is for them to add a round-based adjacent mode to this map, and this would also give round-based fans something to do and something to enjoy within this game as well, and I don't think this will be that hard to implement. My idea is very simple. It's just the same exact map, you load in the exact same way, but there's actual rounds. You start on round 1, just like normal zombies. Now, there's a couple different ideas I have for how this could work, but I think one of the best ways it could work is just like Outbreak. Every round goes up each time you do a contract, and there are so many contracts around this map, enough to the point where I think you can probably do maybe I think there's at least 50 of them. There probably is even more than that, but there's quite a decent amount of contracts on this map. So they would do it so every time you do one, round goes up and it gets harder. And you can just go as long as you want, and whether it's unlimited or just up to the amount of contracts that are on the map, I don't know. I don't know if they can work in the ability to refresh the contract so they respawn back somewhere else on the map. I have no idea. If that's not possible, at least being able to go up to around 50, I mean, that would take probably a couple hours. So that would at least be a lot better than only being able to play for 1 hour. And this would allow people to play the game in a way where the game slowly progresses in difficulty, rather than this whole thing of, okay, the map has different areas that are more difficult than others. I think this would be really, really fun. It would, again, give you an ability to play the game solo, so you can pause it, so you don't have to worry about people stealing your loot. You can just jump in by yourself or with some friends and just kill zombies, do contracts. And if you don't want to do contracts and you just want to stay on the same round, you can do that. I mean, you were able to do that in Outbreak, where you can just stay in one wave and just stay there for the rest of the game. You don't have to even leave, but obviously you might get bored of that eventually, so there's the contracts available for you to do. And pretty much everything available in the regular MWIII Zombies mode would still be available here as well. They would even be able to Exfil as well. It's just the only difference is you won't be carrying in your MWIII Zombies equipment like you could in the Operation Deadbolt mode. You would just be spawning in with maybe one loadout gun, maybe just use your insured weapon, but it won't cause the whole cooldown thing to go down, and you of course won't be exfilling with anything. It's just like normal zombies. But of course, there are certain things they'd have to rework, like they'd have to make sure they can actually find a way to increase the zombies' health per round, which, again, they've always done that in prior years, so I don't know why it would be that impossible to do here. And of course, even just what's on the map itself, you'd have to rework the locations for things, because if there isn't the specific Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 zones, and instead it's just, the health increases by round, then obviously you'd have to adjust what is placed where, because you could still have the whole Abomination boss fight if you want. It would be in that area, but it's not like the difficulty is at the same scale as how it is in the Operation Deadbolt. Well, you could still technically do that. I'm not gonna say it's impossible, because let's say you were to do that and still have the tier zones, it just scales based on the round. So let's say you're on round 1, then Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, they're just, how they are, but they're still harder than each other, obviously. But as the rounds go up, then each of those tiers get harder at a different rate. Of course, it would also be ideal for Treyarch to repurpose certain areas of this map for a round-based map itself. I don't know if they're going to do that. I'm not sure whatsoever, but I'm just saying it would be a cool thing to see, whether it's just a small survival map, or even if they just do Onslaught, literally just take the multiplayer maps, turn those into zombie maps, something like that, just to give us other ways to play this game. Because, I mean, you look at other zombies games like Cold War, for example, they had Outbreak, Onslaught, and just regular round-based. And I know they obviously had a different development cycle here, but again, I'm not really taking it into account. I'm just giving ideas. I would love to see that, of course, in this game, because I think it would be cool. I think they could definitely have a cool gameplay flow to it, and that Modern Warfare Zombies feel within round-based I think would be really, really fun. Now to focus more on Operation Deadbolt itself, because we've been giving a bunch of mode ideas for other things, let's actually talk about stuff they should add to this mode. First of all, ways to exfil. They need more ways to exfil, because right now there's only that simple way of just calling in the helicopter, it coming down, picking you up, and that's it, right? And I think there's definitely a lot of other things they can do. DMZ already currently has a lot of other ways to exfil, and I think Zombies should really take advantage of that, but they have to make some interesting and unique ways, not just the same thing, but maybe a little different. I'm talking like full-on completely different ways to exfil, and maybe there's different, levels of difficulty between these different types of exfils, and maybe the rewards are different based on those exfils. So maybe have some sort of exfil method that'll duplicate your rewards, so everything that you get, it just duplicates it or something like that. I think that would be kind of interesting. So if you exfil with Juggernog, for example, the perk can, you actually get 2 instead of just 1. And I mean, of course you have zombies here, so I feel like it'd be fairly simple to come up with other ways to exfil. Have some like secret rooms you find that lead to some sort of a boss arena of some kind, and you get to fight some weird sort of boss, or maybe not doesn't have to be boss, it could just be like a complete onslaught of zombies and different bosses. And once you actually kill all of them, you get to exfil from some, like maybe some portal. It just takes you to the portal, and that is your method of exfilling. Having stuff like that around the map as well, I think would be really, really cool, and just would keep the game a little more interesting rather than doing the same old exfil every time you're done playing the match. And I know we were talking about having some sort of an unlimited time mode with like the round-based idea that I had within this map, but even just for Operation Deadbolt itself, I do think they need to increase the timer just a bit, maybe just by like 15 minutes, because right now it is way, way too short, and it is really frustrating because if you want to get your gun all the way to tier 3, Pack-a-Punch, all the way with all the rarities, and you want to go into the tier 3 zones and really explore it, you really don't have much time. By the time you get a really good weapon, you're kind of just done for. And I know you can obviously carry items into the next game, and so if you want to start with a really good thing like a high rarity ether wrench and maybe some sort of a ether crystal that also gives you a Pack-a-Punch really fast, but you're not going to frequently have those right off the bat, so chances are you're going to be starting off your games trying to get those Pack-a-Punches, and by the time you're able to get those high tier Pack-a-Punches, the game's about to end, right? And it's just not enough time to really explore and get to experience everything going on here. And I know they mentioned when you do the story missions, it of course increases the time a bit, but the story mission, I've only done the first one so far. It's not like it's that much longer. You just get to go to some separate area for like a couple minutes, do the little thing, and then you're done. So it's not like it makes much of a difference on my experience personally. But I do think if you increase the time by 15 minutes, that just gives players a lot more time. And I do like the feeling of urgency that this mode does bring, but I also just sometimes just want to relax and just kind of kick back, kill some zombies. And I want to do that in the high tier areas with really good weapons, because that's, to me, the fun of zombies, right? I love a good challenge in zombies. I love when the bosses are really challenging, but I also love when there's the ability to get really high tier weapons to make those challenging bosses a lot easier to take out. And it's really just difficult to do in this mode unless you start in with really good stuff from the get-go. Another thing is that this game really needs more zombified areas. Currently, I'm really underwhelmed with this map because there's just not much to it that really feels like zombies. A lot of it just feels like, Warzone stuff, right? And that's because, of course, it is the Warzone map that we're going to be seeing later on this year. And I just think there needs to be more zombified areas. Right now, the only areas that feel actually zombified are, of course, the ether nests. And I love the ether nests. They're so much fun just going in, shooting all the cysts. It's really fun, but I think they need more areas that actually feel like this. And I don't want it to feel like we're just playing on the Warzone map with zombies thrown into it. You know what I mean? I think it really needs to feel more zombified. I do like the tier 3 zone, how it gets all stormy. That's cool. But I mean, the storm exists in Warzone too. It's not like it's that unique to this mode. I want to see more areas that really feel like, okay, zombies have been here and they have taken over. I want it to feel like an outbreak of some sort. You know what I mean? That's another problem I feel like Outbreak honestly had itself. Although I think the Outbreak regions were a lot more interesting in Cold War, I do think it never really felt zombified because these locations existed in other modes, of course. But like, of course, Round-Based Zombies has always done a great job. Not, I don't want to say always, but they've mostly done a great job of really zombifying the areas and really making it feel like zombies own this place. And they've been here. These bosses have been here for, ages. They need more stuff like that. Like, there's this one part of this map where you go under a tunnel and you just walk in just a normal looking tunnel. It should not be a normal looking tunnel. It should be the coolest looking zombified tunnel you've ever seen and have it be some like really messed up thing with some really interesting, unique creatures in it. Like there should be boss zombies that only exist in certain areas and aren't anywhere else on the map. Because right now, I don't think we have that other than obviously the Abomination boss fight, as well as the final Worm boss fight, which is, I believe, the Act 3 story mission. But we need more bosses and more boss fights as well that are just specific to certain areas on the map to make certain areas of the map feel more unique. Because right now, the only area that really feels that unique, of course, is the Ether Nests and parts of the Tier 3 zone because, of course, the Mega Abomination, where it resides in that very center area of the map. I also feel like the loot can kind of be underwhelming in this mode as well, especially when you go into like tier 2 and tier 3. Like I should be getting way better loot. I feel like it's way too reliant on RNG at this current moment, and getting certain things is just extremely rare. Specifically the ether tools, as well as the raw Ethereum crystals and those different types of crystals that you can get to pack a bunch of weapons. Those two things are so rare. I'll be finding like perk bottles and kill streaks and self revives all the time, but ether tools and the crystals, never, man. I never see those. They're rare, and if I do find them, I find the, you know, uncommon ones, of course, the ones that are just, you normally find them, I guess. But trying to find the really good ones, very rare. So trying to increase your rarity on your weapon is just not easy at all, and I think they definitely need to change that and make it something so you can just kind of like do it yourself, just like you can with Pack-a-Punch, where you can just buy the tiers. Why not let us do something like that with our rarity as well? Or at the very least, let the rarity carry over, man. I don't know why they don't allow that. I understand not allowing the Pack-a-Punch to carry over, but rarities should. Or at the very least, every time you use the gun, maybe it goes down 1, unless you, of course, you know, whatever you exfil it, it just goes down 1. Something like simple as that. So you're still getting it lowered a bit, but just not as severe as just completely removing the rarity completely. And I don't really understand why they have this, because you still have the risk of losing your gun. So it's not like you're just going to have this OP epic weapon forever, because if you die, you're going to lose it. That's the risk you have of bringing a weapon in like that. But it should be just that. It should keep its rarity. I have no idea why they don't have that as a system. I think that would be really great and would honestly make this game a lot more enjoyable in terms of just getting your weapons faster and being able to actually get to tier 3 a lot faster, because currently as it is, like I said, takes a while to be able to work up your guns enough to actually go into tier 3. Now let's talk about vehicles, because I think vehicles are actually way more important to this map than I think people seem to realize, because if you want to actually get around the map faster, you got to use vehicles, or at the very least jump in those portals. But vehicles are a great way of getting around. It's just right now they're kind of boring. I don't really think vehicles are that fun. There's only one interesting thing with the vehicles in this game, and that of course is the ether bike, which I've never gotten yet, but I've heard some cool things about it. It looked really cool in the trailer, so I'm excited to try that thing out whenever I do find it. But they need to do more unique things with vehicles. First of all, add more vehicles. We need more around the map. There's rarely any. Sometimes you'll find areas and there's just barely any around. Add more vehicles. Also, don't make them run out of fuel so fast. I don't really think the fuel thing should even be a thing in the first place, but at the very least, just make it so they don't run out of fuel as quickly as they do. And also, give us vehicle customization, please. I've been wanting this for so long in open world zombies, where we can bring our vehicle to, let's say, a garage. And there's different like gas stations on the map. Just you can turn the gas stations into a garage as well. They usually have garages connected to them too. So let us bring the vehicle into the garage and then open up some sort of a shop window that lets you add different things to it with points. And this would be so cool, because like imagine being able to just bring in just a normal vehicle and just adding like a turret to it, or adding spikes to the front of the car, like a spike bumper, and adding maybe like, I don't know, just like indestructible tires, just all sorts of actual physical attachments to your vehicles that you can just add with points. I think would be so much fun. It would be a good way to spend your points. Obviously right now the points mainly go towards Pack-a-Punch and such like that, but I would love to spend it on just some really cool stuff for your vehicles, and maybe you can buy stuff that makes it so the fuel never runs out, or so it never gets destroyed. So you can just have a vehicle that you could just keep for the rest of the game, and you can bring that vehicle all the way to tier 3 zones and just ride around, kill some zombies like that. I think that would be really fun. It would be a good compromise, because yes, you're going to give yourself something that's way more useful than a lot of other things in the game, but of course you're not going to have the best weapons because you're spending so many points on kitting out your vehicle to being the best it can possibly be. But just imagine rolling up with a squad to try to take out the Abomination and a gun and with a turret on your vehicle that you added yourself, and then eventually, of course, you can't make it fully indestructible, so eventually the Abomination could destroy your vehicle. but just having that would be so much fun, and I think would just add a whole nother layer of customization and replayability to this mode. Now let's talk about Easter eggs. So of course, like I said, I haven't finished all the story missions yet, and in a sense, these do feel like the replacement for like main Easter eggs. This is kind of their way of doing a main story quest. And so far, Act 1 has a lot of issues because, of course, some of the missions are fun, but a lot of them were very kind of fillery, and they've relied on RNG way too much. And I don't think they should ever have stuff like that that just kind of pads out the amount of time it takes you to do it just because they want it to be longer. And on one hand, I am glad it is a long grind. I do like having that long grind. It's a lot better than just completing the Easter egg in one day. Now it's gonna take you a couple days to do it. I mean, it's taking a lot of people many days to do it, but it wouldn't really be an issue if a lot of the challenges weren't just not interesting. Like there's one where you literally just have to go around the map filling up your vehicle with fuel 3 times. That's not interesting. There was also one where you have to wait for the convoy and take it out, which in and of itself isn't a bad mission, but like, why does it have to rely so much on RNG? Because finding that convoy took me like over 6 games. There was another one where you had to fill up 3 turrets with MWIII circuit boards. Trying to find those MWIII circuit boards around the map was miserable. I like never found them, and it took me way too many games to find those as well. And that, again, just shouldn't be the case. The challenges, the missions, they should be things you can just jump in and do. And I don't care how hard they are. I would love some really difficult ones, but just make them fun, engaging, and not full of RNG. And I'm fully expecting the Act 2 and Act 3 story mission to be a lot better, but Act 1 story mission was kind of meh. It was fun, it was cool, fine, but I'm never going to do it again. I know you can do these again, which is cool. I'm definitely glad they're allowing you to do them again, but I don't think I'm ever going to go back and do Act 1 story mission because there's nothing that interesting about it. Story-wise, it's lackluster for me personally. I don't think the story is that interesting here, and when it comes to what it is itself, I think it was just kind of okay. I want something that a little more engaging than that, a little more Easter egg heavy. Give me some actual puzzles, give me some actual things to do, just like Easter eggs were in the past with Black Ops 3 and 4. And of course, they do have some Easter egg stuff in this map currently. There's some stuff that is either unsolved or some people have been trying to solve them. There's a chessboard Easter egg, which is cool. There's a lot of stuff like that that they did add, which I'm glad to see. But it's unfortunate that a lot of the rewards for these things just aren't that great. But I just want to see a lot more stuff added like that, a lot more side quests, a lot more Easter egg stuff. And Treyarch has already said they're going to be adding stuff like that, which is good. But I want to see a lot more that have unique rewards and some reason to actually replay them again and again, rather than just something that you do once and never do again. And the last thing I want to talk about here is a bit controversial, but I'm going to talk about it anyways, and that is PvP. So I know many people are very happy with just this game being PvE, and myself included. I do think Operation Deadbolt being PvE is good. I don't want PvP in this main mode, but I do think there's a place for PvP within this game, and I do think they should add it, but not in the main mode itself, or at least not in the sense that a lot of people were hoping it wouldn't be. So obviously the way it is here is good, but there should be a separate mode that does enable PvP, because I think that actually could be kind of interesting. At the very least, if they completely just limit the amount of AI soldiers on the map. I already think they should do that to begin with, but in general, I really do think they need to just add a mode like this, because I would love to see how it plays and how interesting it could be to see like a group, you know, on the map just kind of taking out other zombies, and then you come up behind them and try to get into a gunfight with them, and it turns into this like 3v3 gunfight with a bunch of zombies surrounding them. I think that would be fun and interesting and unique, but of course it has to be a separate mode for people who actually want to do that and not in the main mode itself. I also think there's other ways of, you know, adding PvP. My idea, which I just came up with on stream yesterday, and I think this sounds really cool, there should be a way to go up to players on the map itself and maybe like press a button or something, like something similar to the, you know, adding to their squad button when you kind of assimilate with other teams, but it's a little different, where instead of assimilating, you can offer to, you know, challenge them. And this would be interesting because, like, let's say someone loots your stuff, right? Maybe you get pissed off by them. You're like, okay, you just stole my stuff. Why? That's an asshole move, right? I should have the ability to go up to this person and challenge them to a 1v1 gunfight, or maybe like a 3v3, assuming you have both your teams there. Now it would turn into a full-on brawl between them if the guy accepts it. Of course, he has to accept it. And the reward for this would be whoever wins this gunfight, whoever wins it between the two teams, not only will get maybe like 5,000 points, something really big, but also will get the other team's loot. I think that would be so cool. and would be a great way to incentivize people to actually do this. And again, it's optional. You never have to click yes to this. You never have to accept to doing a PvP with other players. But if people want the option to do it, I think that would be really damn cool. And again, if the reward is huge with getting their loot and also, of course, they're losing their loot, it would be huge. And then the 5,000 points on top of that. It would be a very big risk versus reward thing. But my God, would it be awesome. Like, honestly, I feel like if I jumped into a game and I didn't have like that much of good stuff, I'd probably be offering to challenge a lot of people. And of course, they might want to do it to try to get those points, but also to try to take my loot. But of course, they don't know that I actually don't have much loot. So I don't know. I think that would be really cool. They could also do something where like certain areas on the map are PvP. So maybe like a little section, a little POI has PvP enabled, and it's pretty clearly labeled on the map that this is a PvP zone. Maybe like 1 or 2 areas on the map, and maybe the loot there is like really damn good. So if you end up going there, you have to be aware of other teams going there as well. The only issue with this is like, I feel like players would just avoid it if they saw another team there, because of course you can see where other teams are on the map at all times. So you probably just avoid the area if you saw another team there. So that's the only issue with that third idea there. I think the other 2 ideas sound a lot more interesting and definitely would work a lot better. But I want to see it added. I do think there is a place for PvP here. I know a lot of DMZ lovers would love to see that. I'm okay with what we have now, but of course this would just be another layer of replayability for this mode. So of course, I still have my worries for how modes like this are going to affect round-based content as a whole in the future of zombies. I know we're going to be getting it next year, but especially if they keep doing a mode like this even into the next year, I do think it is going to make round-based suffer, and I think it has been making round-based suffer over the past few years. If you just compare the amount of round-based content we've gotten in the last 4 years compared to the 4 years before that, it's night and day difference. But I am enjoying this mode nonetheless. I do think it has a place in zombies. Again, I just want to see some more focus on the type of zombies that I like as soon as humanly possible, really. That's the way I see it. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below of some of these ideas. Do you think they're interesting? Do you think they're not interesting? And of course, add your own ideas to your list as well. I would love to hear what you guys think. I'll see you guys all in my next one. Peace out.